Hi everyone, my name is Kendrick and welcome to ENFP Mail. Today I get to interview Tara. So Tara, welcome.
Hi.
So Tara, you got officially typed not too long ago. Can you give us your full type?
Yes, so I'm double feminine, T-I-Se, consume, play, blast, sleep.
So you are the most extroverted ISTP type,
Correct.
which is also
Yeah.
super rare because there's not a lot of ISTP women to begin with.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that I ended up being a type that was like rare for women because that's kind of that's how I've always felt. So
Like kind of like very different, you know?
a little bit, not like I'm complete outsider, but I definitely feel like I'm not meshing with a group of women the way other women do.
So how do you feel being like an ISTP? That's like I said, it's like a rare type for women. Usually they call it the unicorn. So how do you feel about having that specific type and also the stereotypes that comes with it? They think that ISTPs are all mechanics or they build houses or fix cars. So
Right. Well, and that's probably why I never would have before I never would have typed myself as an ISTP because I don't resonate with that at all. I'm not fixing physical things in the real world and would never have called myself a mechanic. I mean, I'm like I I got a flat tire, who am I going to call? You know what I mean? I would never do those things myself. Um but as far as being called a unicorn, I can't lie, I really enjoyed that. When somebody pointed that out on the Facebook page when I announced my type, I was like, yeah, I am a unicorn.
yeah, that is awesome. I think it's like the ISTP women that was super rare. I think it's only been in the past few months where I interviewed another ISTP woman. So it was like there's only like two of you in the whole thing, and you both live in extreme land too. Like you're like the most extroverted one, and the other one is play last. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, I think I saw some of her interview. I got interrupted while I was watching it, but I think she and I are very different
Yeah,
from what I saw. Yeah.
yeah, extremely
Yeah, and
different.
it's also hard because there's not a whole lot of there are no women on the doc, the celebrity doc, to watch. Although they gave me some women, that I could look up, and one of them I can see clearly that were a lot alike. Another one I was horrified that she was my type twin,
Which one?
because I really didn't like her. And I had kept it. Shannon had said to, like, some of these are going to be classes, so maybe don't announce it,
Oh,
but you do what you're going to do. But I think it's gotten out by now because people had messaged me about it. But the other one was Alyssa Milano, and I was kind of like, really? Like, I like her as an actress, but she um which is really funny because I'm sure I do this too, but she just thinks she's so smart when everything she says.
yeah.
And you're just like, well, did you think about that before you said it, or like the impact that that's going to have on a group of people when you said it, so that was cringy when I saw that.
Gotcha. And I think a lot of people said that you look kind of like Demi Moore. Um,
It's funny because I think yeah, Demi Moore's my type twin. And I actually just listened to her audiobook after I found out, which was really good, by the way. But I think there are certain angles where I will, like, we've got like similar jaw structure and, dark hair and whatever, that we kind of look alike. But yeah, she's my other type twin. I saw somebody showed me Al Pacino, which was hilarious because I've always said he looks like he could be my dad.
yeah.
And then Bear Grylls, which I don't, I know who he is, but I don't really know him. So
Oh, the guy who eats anything like outdoors.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll like pick up like roadkill and eat it. Like,
Yeah, that definitely wouldn't be me.
yeah. Well, there's a lot of ISTP guys, so that is super common, right? So I think
Yeah.
it's more like the women's side that is super rare. Let's start with your the fact that you're double activated on that FE. So would you say that you would not have as much tribe tidal waves as someone that would not have that? Like, would you say that you're pretty good at making sure the tribe is feeling good, everything's like harmonious, and whatnot?
I think at my age, I've gotten a lot better at that. I don't think when I was younger, I cared as much about what everybody thought. I would just, this is my opinion, and I didn't understand why people didn't resonate with that.
Right.
But I'm so hyper aware of it now. And I think a lot of what I might consider a tidal wave probably just happens in my head and other people don't see it.
Right.
But if I think I've offended someone and I really care about it, like it will keep me up at night and I will replay everything in my head. And I will have to fix it. So stuff like that, I like immediately want to fix so I can move on and then I don't have to think about it anymore.
Gotcha. I think you have another type twin. His name is Julian Blanc. I don't know if you've seen his face on the docs.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the docs, but somebody posted a video of him and is it Owen Cook?
Yeah, Owen Cook. Yeah.
Which I'm always confused because it says Owen Cook and then underneath it says Tyler. Like it always says Tyler did this.
That's his like pen name, you could say.
I was like, is he Owen or is he Tyler? It was driving me nuts. So I did watch a little bit of that video. But I didn't, I didn't watch enough of it to figure out if I resonated with him at all.
Yeah, he's called Tyler because I think he watched that movie Fight Club. Tyler Durden was the bit, and then he thought it was like, he's going to this world where in Fight Club they have like this world where like you can do whatever you want essentially. So it's like it's kind of like it's very NF obviously. So it's kind of like the moniker that he took on, and I thought it was really interesting that his partner was Julian Blanc. That's kind of like his main partner when it comes to running his business, and he's an ISTP. I thought it was interesting because in my real life too, one of my best friends growing up was also an ISTP, and like I was like, what the, like you can't make this up, right? Like certain types do end up being friends or working together.
Yeah, I think my husband might be an ENFP. So
would you say he has things problem and like don't control me bro syndrome kind of?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Would you say it's good to be married to an EP? Because usually IPs end up dating, EJs, right? Like, because then you guys have the same language. Like you have that, you love talking about people, but the problem like later on in the relationship, from what I've seen when, you have two opposites type that end up dating, is that you start forcing each other to go use your fourth demon, and no one wants to use it. I mean, not everyone. Some people obviously have growth mindset and they're like, okay, let's work on this. Yes, you're right. Like, for example, if you're an IP, you're dating an EJ, you might say, hey, you really need to take care of yourself and do stuff for yourself, and then the EJ might go up to you and be like, hey, you really need to like take care of the tribe, and like, be more mindful of other people's feelings, but because you're kind of like your partner doesn't have your problems and you don't have his problems. So you're like, that's not a problem. And he's like, that's not a problem, So can you resonate with that or?
Well, what's interesting about us is that we do have some similar problems. And I know that like where I might lack in almost like emotional intelligence, he makes up for that, in my opinion. And what's funny is we're both disorganized. I mean, the first 10 years of our marriage probably would have looked like an episode of Hoarders. But I think I kind of took on that role more of we needed to get rid of stuff. He got rid of stuff out of the garage. We moved and we finally just got rid of like the crap that we'd been accumulating. And then I'm kind of like, if we keep the main areas clean, I don't care this way. Like if somebody stops over, we don't have to freak out. Because I will freak out if somebody stops by and the house is not clean. He could not care less. I don't think he even like that's not a thing for him.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine not caring. And it's funny because everybody I know knows I'm messy. So it's not like I'm hiding anything in particular. But and really I feel a little iffy talking about it because I don't know if he's an ENFP. That's just kind of what I think now. And Shan said that too, based on what things that I had told her. And I guess the way he looks too. I had a couple of people say he looked like he had ENFP eyes.
What's an
I don't know
ENFP?
if that,
Never even heard of that, but that's
I don't
interesting.
know what that means. I don't know. Do you have ENFP eyes?
Well, apparently I look similar to one of the ENFPs they type, which is Phil DeFranco. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah,
So
you kind of do.
yeah, except I'm Asian, obviously, but there's like similarities to the face. Would you say your husband is a jumper, ENFP, or standard? Like, because the standard is like the
No, I think we're both not blast savior. I think
okay,
that's an issue. But I think, I'm play savior, and I think he's sleep. Just
oh,
the way our days go and like our energy goes, complete opposite.
gotcha.
I want to get things done right immediately. Like, I'm energized. I want to get things done. He fit right in with Dave's description and Shan's description of how they'll get somewhere. Shan feels like a racehorse, like ready to get let out of the gate. And Dave's like, let's just sit here for a minute before going into Home Depot. Like, that's my husband.
Oh,
I need to just relax for a little bit.
yeah,
I'm like, what does that even, why?
yeah. That doesn't make any sense. It's weird.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason I think he's possibly consume sleep.
Okay, this is my first question in regards to type. Then, so you're both self above tribe. How does that work? Like, because it would not cause some issues. Usually, the tribe above self will date someone that's self above tribe. So, like, you're both self above tribe. So, what's going on here?
Right.
Although he's a double decider and you are actually double activated in the FE, so it's not too bad. But
Yeah. Well, part of something about him, and of course, this is assuming he is self above tribe, is that if I'm right about him, his FI is that if somebody he loves deeply needs something, he's there. Like, he's a giver.
okay,
That's part of who he is. So he wants to be around me. He wants to be around my daughter. He wants to do nice things for us. I've really been paying attention though, and I don't see like the DE language I don't see that from him. Now, of course, I'm not good at typing, so
yeah.
I don't know, but it just makes a lot of sense that it would be FI.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can see that because my girlfriend's self above tribe, but she does do a lot of things for other people. When she cares for them, if she doesn't care about you, she's just like you can't reach her at all. But if she
Yeah.
cares about you, she's very like easy to get a hold of. Um,
And I tend to feel like inconvenienced when people need something from me. Admittedly, I'm just like, oh, what an inconvenience. I have to, stop at the store for somebody else on my way home. It's just a terrible feeling
right.
that I wish I got like a jolt out of, oh, my daughter needs something. I'm going to go to the store and get it for her. I don't feel that way at all. I feel like this is a pain. It wasn't in my schedule. Like, I got to stop now.
Yeah. I mean, you are still on. You're like an IPEP, so you're still flexible and like you can you know go with the flow, kind of.
Yeah, I go with the flow really well. And this is something that I noticed and why things were a little difficult for me. My inside world is masculine.
Right.
Um, my outside world is feminine. And if we're talking about friends or work or a group of people I'm hanging out with, I am go with the flow 100%. If you talk to my husband or my daughter, they will say I am not go with the flow because they're part of my identity.
Right.
And, I'm hard on myself and I'm probably hard on them too. And I have expectations on myself and then I have expectations on my family, not on purpose. That's just something I noticed.
Okay, well, why don't we start with that? So you are double masculine inside, and you have masculine TI and masculine NI. So and it's also last. So it's kind of similar to me actually, because I also have double masculine sleep like you. So how do you experience your double masculine NT sleep? How do you know? I mean, I think the fact that it's double masculine is easier for you to see, even if it's last.
Well, I think and this was like the question I was dreading from you because I'm not sure I do understand it.
No worries.
Um, and I know I told you that before we got on the recording, but I almost see a lot of people in interviews, not necessarily with you, but they almost parrot something that they've learned on the videos, and I'm left still not understanding how they experience it.
Right.
Like I want to know in their own words how they experience the sleep or the feminine sensory, and just saying like the feminine sensory is ooh, I just, because that's something Shan did in a video.
Yeah.
Like I want to know how they experience it. So all I can tell you is my perception of it.
Okay.
And before I got typed, and I was talking to a couple of friends about this system and how I may not be an INTP after all, I might be completely upside down, whatever. I was telling them how I noticed about myself that I don't go back over things. I just like kind of move on. And my friend said, yeah, I noticed that about you, actually. That is a huge part of you. You don't dwell on things that have happened. And I think now I know that's sleep last, that I'm not going back over and then trying to decide like a path forward with what I already know. And I think that that's probably a lot of where I thought that I was demon sensory was really sleep last. Does that make sense?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I
Like
get.
missing things, like missing things that I shouldn't have.
Well, I mean, I understand your explanation about how you see yourself using it. Um, but anti sleep means you're also like puzzling things. So do you like to like solve puzzle inside, like figure things out? Is that something that you do at all?
Why don't you give me an example of what that would be? Like puzzling what? Puzzling something I have to do the next day, like working on a case in my head, or because I will find myself, I will wake up in the middle of the night and can't stop. And this is rare, it's not like it happens all the time, but a certain case that I'm working on that's bothering me, I'll go back over some like a conversation I had with my client that day, and maybe how I should have handled it before that, before it got to the conversation, or the conversation with opposing counsel. Like I'll go back over the things I did in the case, and I can't stop thinking about that. But otherwise, I'm just really not sure I understand what NT sleep is.
I can only give you example from what I've seen other people do. I can't really. I don't have TI, right? But so I used to have a coach who I think is definitely an ISTP, because his life lesson was like, I finally just learned recently that some people, they're just having a bad day and they need to tell them, hey, you know what, just take it easy. I was like, what? That's kind of obvious, like
Mm-hmm.
but so he gets tunnel vision really easily. Like he's a personal trainer, and he's also a kinesiologist, so he works with people, make sure that their body is moving properly, there's no pains, and they can work out. And he's obsessed with peak performance, so he's always puzzling in his head how he can take someone and get them to perform at peak performance. And if something is bothering that person, like let's say their knees is not working properly or their shoulder is kind of hurt, so he's always puzzling, okay, what is the biomechanics of that body, and how can I fix that? Like, what can I do to fix it? Troubleshooting, right? He's like, what can I do to fix it? I don't think he cares about the people per se. I think he's more obsessed about like the science behind it, and like how he can fix and make sure that someone's moving normally again and they can perform peak performance. So it's a lot of puzzling in his head of how he's gonna do that. And he gets like super tunnel vision. Like he won't talk. He'll just like stop talking and just like think about it. He'll be thinking about it for days, and then he'll like message you randomly, like 1 week later. I'm like, what? You're still thinking about that? Because it has an NI component to it, right? He's kind of like taking his known information and like um trying to see how it would work logically.
Yeah,
So I
I
don't
guess
know.
go ahead. I was going to say, I guess like how that would apply in my life would be puzzling how I'm going to structure a hearing for court and what witness is going to go when. And then I will go in my head, like when I'm just laying there in bed, I'm thinking exactly how my outline for the hearing, I have like an outline of questions that I ask Sorry, there's a guy like standing right next to my car.
It's okay.
So I'll be thinking specifically of the lines and the things I'm going to ask them, and I will go through like how that question and answer session will go. And then I can even, you know, I'll pare that down in my head. And sometimes I will email myself in the middle of the night to get that out so that I can stop puzzling. As you guys say, puzzling. I love that. Or block banging. I was always like, what does that mean, block banging? But I'll get it out of my head that way because I can't stop trying to figure it out. So that, and then there's things that I'm always working on for myself. Like I've been running for about a decade, and you know, Mark Sisson from Primal Blueprint, we typed him, he was like NETE, I think. Was he your type?
Mike Sison is an NET, or
Mark Sisson. I thought he was NETE.
Really, he
No?
is the paleo guy.
Yeah.
I'm a booper
Yeah.
guy. I don't think he is at all. He's so sensory, but I don't know.
He does sound sensory, and that's why I will have a question for you, because I cannot identify any for the most part.
What's
Like
that?
I almost think when I'm trying to figure out if someone's any, you have to find like their demon SI. I don't, you know, for most people, I don't see the any.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking, I'm not hearing any, but you know, I guess you're not giving a monologue, you're asking questions, but
Yeah, I'm like, you know, interviewing you, so it's not. I'm not.
right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got way off track. Oh, I'm puzzling like self improvement things. Like I'll study something, and sometimes I'll study it for years before I actually like am convinced of the efficacy of it, but I'm just entertained by it. And then once I'm convinced and I implement it, then I'm constantly trying to improve upon it. So like Mark led me to the primal way of eating and implementing certain kinds of exercises. And then most recently, over the last couple of years, that led me to the MAF training, which is maximum aerobic function. And it's like low heart rate training, because most people are, and I know you do fitness, so you know what I'm talking about, but like most people are working out anaerobically all the time.
Yeah.
And I realized I was like working out way too hard all the time.
Yeah.
And so I've been building up my aerobic base, and it was a painful, tedious, slow going process. And I was always trying to troubleshoot that and think about how I can do that better. You know, like what did I eat, or what did I drink, or did I not get enough sleep? Like, why is my heart rate up this week, or things like that.
I think you got it. I think that's your NP sleep right there. Like, I think you use it for your.
Woo!
I think you're using it for your fitness life.
I think that is where I use it. That and like my diet and things like that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about the court stuff that you were telling me about earlier, but the fitness stuff was definitely it feels like it's spot on. Like, yeah, that's exactly what, like, you know, NITI, because you're also planning, right? Like NI is planning in the future, and TI is, they call it puzzling, which is I definitely think you're typed correctly, because it seems like, you know, the N is also a demon for you, because it seems like you're very what do you call it, like SE dominant, like it's the facts and like what's the present and what you can see, like
Yeah,
the abstract world is a little bit like weird for you. You know.
it is. It is. And it's funny that I always typed myself INTP.
Yeah.
Even when I started learning about OP, I went back and took the personality hacker test again, because I'm like, I know everything now. We'll see what I get. INTP. And I was like, I only get INTP. And I knew I wasn't using intuition as a savior.
Well, I think you saw your TI though. Like your TI was something that you obviously saw.
I did. Yeah.
So I want to ask you about that. So since we're on the topic of NITI, let's go with TI first. How do you experience your masculine TI? Since that's the one that's like, you already saw it even when you took those personality hacker tests, right? Like the fact that you saw it, it was super obvious for you. How do you experience TI, and why is your TI so obvious to you?
So I think, first of all, it's obvious when I look back at my life that I am lead thinker and not feeler. That was so obvious to me throughout this entire thing. Especially when I watched a video of myself, I started recording, and I was like, oh my God, I'm a boring fact reporter. And I had no idea that I was so goddamn boring.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's okay. You know, I don't care. But it was something that was just like, oh, I really am a fact reporter. I was thinking about how when my husband and I we'll start watching a movie or a show, and he's just like chill. He's just watching. He's okay not knowing. I'm like, wait, why'd they do that? Wait, what are they going to do now? Wait, did you see that? Well, I didn't catch what they said. What did they say? Well, who's that? Do you remember that character? And he's like, oh my God, can you just watch it? And that started making me think that, you know, he's leading with intuition and I am not. I'm not using intuition. Just like, that's just a tiny little example, but
Yeah.
he'll be like, why don't you ever want to guess things?
Yeah.
um, but I got way off track because channel changer here. But so TI, I think when I look back at why I knew it was TI is because I'm always going really deep into a subject that interests me, like so deep. It's like I can't get enough of something if I'm interested in it. And then I want to keep it to myself sometimes. But then other times, you know, if people open the door, I want to talk about it. But it's always been kind of rebuffed by other people. They don't necessarily appreciate the truth all the time. Like I want the truth almost 100% of the time. Like if you don't like my haircut, fine. I don't care about that. But I want you to tell me the truth. And I get really bent out of shape. And I think that I was so obsessed with that I could, when I took the crappy tests or when I first came into the OP community, I knew that TI, and I knew when people who had TI and had been officially typed would explain something, I was like, oh, I get it. Thank you. Like I knew what they were talking about.
Right.
But, and I don't know how much you saw in the Facebook groups, but I let everybody then tell me, because I was asking questions, I was TE. And I started believing everybody.
Yeah.
It was so stupid. Now when I look back, I'm like, that's so stupid. But the problem too is that I really resonate a lot with all the ST sleep last women. I really do. You know, there's an element to like what Shan says that, and the way she talks that really resonates with me. But what never resonated with me was the whole like, how's everybody doing? Like, what do you need? Want to get everybody else's needs met. And then the oxygen mask thing where she said like, that's traumatizing to her to think of putting her own oxygen mask on first. I'm like, that just makes sense. I just always felt like I'm putting myself above everybody else and I am a thinker. So
Well, it
that's,
makes logical sense too, right? Like you can't help people if your oxygen, if you're not, you can't breathe yourself, right? Like it just
come
logical.
on.
I mean,
Yeah,
even if you're self above tribe or tribe above self, logically, it just makes sense to put your mask first,
right.
I
Right.
think you're also obsessing about like, like, earlier when you're talking about the shows that you would watch with your husband or, and whatnot. I think it's because you're info dominant. Like you are obsessed with the most. So it's not just like you have masculine TI, you have your info dominant. So it's like, not only do you want the truth, you want the full information, like no open loops, everything has to be like complete.
Very much so. And I think that was another thing that made me think maybe I was EP, was that I was so obsessed with like not having all the information. And I kept hearing, well, missing information, that's EP.
Right.
So yeah, very much. I wasn't surprised at all that I was info dominant. That makes a lot of sense. And really I go back and forth. I'm like, maybe I'm blast last. Like that would make sense too. But then I'm like, no, you're info dominant. That's the check there.
Right. That makes perfect sense. Especially, yeah, I can see the info dominant in you. That like there's no denying that you're info dominant. So yeah, I definitely think you're like accurately typed. What is interesting though, let's start with your consume, and I want to talk about your SE also. So it seems like you're obsessive with consuming information, and you said that if someone opens the box and talks to you about it, then you would love to discuss it. But that's also consume, right? You're like, yeah, give me more because I'm really interested in this topic. Like, just keep feeding me all this.
That's a good point. Yeah.
This facts, all the facts. Now, the weird contradiction though is you have feminine SE, so you're gonna forget a lot of the facts that you've taken in, which kind of will throw you in a weird loop because now you're like info dominant. You're like, oh my god, I forgot that, and I forgot that. What was that again? So does that happen to you? Like,
So that one I struggled with seeing. Masculine sensory is what I thought I was pretty sure about, was that I had masculine sensory. So when they typed me double feminine, I was like, well, that's strange. And I did think about it quite a bit to try to figure out how they came to that. And I think one way is that I think my NI is very clearly masculine. Like, I think between the two, if you have to pick one, like when I have an NI theory or concept or whatever, it's not easily swayed by other people or outside forces. But I always thought I had a great memory. So I remember the weirdest shit that other people don't remember. My theory is that feminine SE paired with masculine TI, or the masculine TI paired with the masculine NI is going to give you different types of memory depending on how you look at it. And so I may be using my stronger functions to remember things that other people don't, but I don't know. That's there's a lot of signs that, like, if you, I don't know, the way I move through the world is in a feminine manner. When you think about it, I don't stomp, I don't shove on things, I don't like loud noises, strong smells, bright lights. Whereas things like that, like my husband is completely unaffected by any of that. And so you're masculine sensory, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you get jarred or like distracted by noises or big movements or?
Smell is the worst one for me. Like if something
Yeah.
smells like something that I don't like, perfume, for example, I can't stand it. Like I'm just dizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sound, yeah, yes and no. Like, okay, I think my audio is more like voices. So I don't like background noise. I don't like to hear people talking in the background because I'm play savior, so I get sucked into it and I hate it. Like if I want time for myself, I don't want to hear anything. Like my girlfriend loves a background noise. Like for her, it's comforting. She puts on like a TV show that is
Oh God.
like a brain rotting TV show, like The Office, for example, or um, How I Met Your Mother, all the stuff, and you
Mhm.
know, and for her it's good, but for me it's like she's giving me a dirty look now.
Got you.
She's giving me a dirty look because I always talk shit about it, but so
She must be a good sport.
yeah, no, it's all good. Look, we'll double decider here, so it's all good. But like,
Right.
so she no, so for her that's comforting, but for me that's an irritation, right? So it's that's that aspect. But when it comes to loud noises itself, like I used to live behind a gas station and I hear like car crashes, like cars flipping around and stuff, and I'm like, I go back to bed. So the noise itself is not what bothers me. It's the conversation in the background that bothers me.
Okay. So if you had like a constant noise wouldn't bother you, like
Yeah, like, if I'm driving in
a
this truck.
fan.
Yeah, no, like people honking and shit, like whatever. Like
Yeah.
no.
I'm really distracted. And I also feel like, I think the way that I would describe it is I'm taking in 60% of what my husband's taking in at any given time. And it's not for lack of trying. Like, and maybe this is something completely different. I don't know, but this is just kind of what I've been thinking about. Like, we'll be watching something and I'm like, wait, I can't hear it. Wait, stop moving so much. I can't hear it. And he's like, oh my God, get your ears checked. And I have, and my hearing is better than perfect. Like, it's really good. So,
Okay.
so I don't know why I'm like, wait, what'd you guys say? Wait, I missed that. What was that? I don't
Maybe,
know. Sometimes I blame it on being short. Like everybody's way up here and I'm way down here. I don't know.
do you think it's the feminine sensory? It's like it's hard for you to grasp on it like solidly, so you need like everything to be still. Otherwise, it's like it gets like swayed away really quickly. You're like, oh my god, I lost that. I
Yeah, I mean, that's what it feels like to me. But, I don't know. Is that feminine sensory? I don't really know.
it could
Like,
be.
I don't know what other people are experiencing.
Do you have a visual memory, would you say? Are you very visual? Because you're
Oh
double
yeah.
feminine.
I have everything in my memory. Like I can see pictures very clearly.
Yeah.
I can hear very clearly. Like there's a constant monologue or dialogue in my brain.
Okay.
Um, I remember smells and sounds and like it's like a whole world in there. And I know I'm just baffled that other people don't see in their brain or don't hear a monologue. I'm like, how are you existing in there? What is happening? And how peaceful that must be.
Well, I don't see anything. Like I'm blind in here.
I can't wrap my brain around that.
But there is always a monologue. So the monologue is there because I'm auditory. But there's no visual. There's nothing. It's like nothing. Like I can't even
It's just
visualize.
black. It's just black.
It's nothing. It's like it's not black. There's no color. It's nothing. It's like nothing. It's literally
Does
nothing.
that does that make sense to you that I can't even imagine that? Like,
No, I get that how it's weird because I had a coach before and he was trying to give me some visualization techniques, and I'm like I don't see anything. I really don't. I can visualize maybe for like there's like a quick flash, but it's gone. There's no emotion attached to it. There's nothing like there's it's just a quick picture and it's gone. It's not like I can't picture anything. I can, but it's like a quick flash and I can't hold on to that image.
okay, interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird for sure. But my audio is super good. Like my auditory stuff is super good.
Hmm.
I don't know how to explain it. When it comes to music or whatever, it's like super spot on. I'm also kinesthetic too, so which I guess I'm not surprised at why I'm in the fitness industry because it's
Yeah,
kinesthetic.
that's perfect.
So, um, but there's a lot of double feminine people too, and feminine masculine fitness also. So I'm not really sure how that works, but I did
Yeah,
know that I had a coworker. I think he's feminine masculine. He's very like bossy to the tribe, but I don't think he remembers sensory stuff. And his form is always awful when he works out. Like he's doing deadlifts wrong completely. And I'm like, okay, So I don't know if that's like a
that's funny.
I don't know. My girlfriend's double feminine. She has perfect form when she does exercise. Like she can deadlift. My girlfriend's so strong. She can deadlift like over 200 pounds, right? Like, and she's
That's
tiny,
awesome.
tiny Asian girl, right? And she can do like 10 pull-ups. So it's ridiculous.
Oh, that's awesome. That's my dream. I'm doing negative pull-ups to try to get back to being able to do a pull-up. So
Yeah, yeah. Like she
I
cried.
just want to.
No, it's a good goal because like most women cannot do like most okay, a lot of women, maybe 20% can maybe do a chin up, right? But a pull up,
Maybe not even that much though, do you think?
maybe
I
less. Okay.
mean,
But the pull up itself is even more rare, like probably like 1% or less. Like the actual
yeah.
yeah.
I did CrossFit a few years ago for about a year and a half, and I could do pull-ups. That would have been the first time in my adult life that I could do an actual pull-up. But
Yeah, but you can easily get to pull ups quickly if you just trigger point your traps. Do you know that? Like, your traps, like
is that
your
all I need to do?
yeah, okay, because you have two muscles that are opposite of each other, right? I know we're getting a little bit off tangent, but I'll just tell this real quick. And, 'cause you have two muscles that are opposite of each other, right? So one muscle, if it's tight, then the other muscle cannot activate, right? So so basically most people are tight in the traps because from work, typing, sitting too much, whatever. And the traps is the opposite of your lats. So if your traps is tight, your lats won't activate, and it goes to your bicep. And your bicep is a small muscle, right? Your lats is the bigger muscle. So if you want your lats to engage, which is super strong, you just have to release this with you can use a lacrosse ball. You can go to an RMT to get them to release it. Get your husband to do it,
Okay.
whatever. And then
So
suddenly,
do that
yeah.
before you try the pull-ups.
And then you go do a pull up after, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, it's so easy!" It's like almost cheating. It's like,
I'm gonna try it.
yeah, I mean, that's how like because my mentor coached my girlfriend and my sister, and both my sister and my girlfriend were able to do 10 pull-ups each, like full
That's
pull-ups.
insane.
And they're
Yeah, that's
both
insane.
tiny Asian girls, and it's pretty much like using his NT, right? He's like kind of figuring out the concept I just told you. It's called muscle reciprocal inhibition, where he's using his NT sleep to like, okay, you know what, this is tight, this won't activate, or like shoulder hurts. Well, is because when you're doing let's say a push-up, it's not going to your chest, it's going to your shoulders because your chest won't activate. Why won't your chest activate? Because your chest is too tight. Maybe you have tight muscles all over your back, so you need to release your back muscles with a lacrosse ball. now your chest can activate because the opposing muscle is, it's been loosened up. Um, so that's NT right there. I learned that from him. Right? I couldn't have figured that
Very
out.
good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it.
Yeah. But anyways, so okay, that's interesting. Let's go with your your play, your double feminine play. Um, so how does it work? How do you experience your double feminine play? Like, do you like to?
I think we're frozen.
Oh, your camera just like froze. I can hear you though. It's just your camera that's frozen. Okay, we'll just wait then. All right, you're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. Good. I paused the interview, so it's okay.
Okay.
I paused the recording. I mean. Okay. Let's go back to your. Oh, it froze
Oh
again.
no, you're freezing again.
Is it me that's frozen, or well, it looks like you're frozen because I see my face moving. Yes, we are. Okay. Is it better now? I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you froze right away again. So I don't know if you could hear me.
No, it's yeah, no. Yeah, I can hear you. It's not frozen or anything, so it looks like maybe it's okay now.
Yeah, it looks good now.
Okay. Let me go through the questions just in case it happens again. So double feminine play. How do you experience double feminine play? And your play is SF. That's like the best kind. That's like the fun, cool, kind of play.
That's good. So I kind of thought about this too, and I think the way I experienced that, and you can tell me if I'm just thinking of this all wrong. I am always I want everybody else come up with something. Let's go do something. I'm up for anything. And that's kind of how I've always been. I don't want to be the planner, but I want you to come up with something fun and I'll do whatever. Like that's what I want to do. I've always also kind of been into like clothes and jewelry and stuff like that, makeup. Like I always wanted certain things as a kid, new things. I'd see something and I'd have to have it. Like, when you used to have commercials back in the day.
Yeah.
I would see that and then I'd want to have that or want to have the coolest new outfit or whatever. I'm not sure if that falls in, but to me, that would be SE. And I mean, would that be FE? I don't know. But I want to be included in everything. I want to be invited to everything. I have a serious fear of missing out. Like that's a huge problem of mine. And I don't necessarily want to go to everything, but I want you to want me to go to everything.
You want to be invited.
I want to be invited. But I also love I love having plans. I love having something to do. Back when people partied hard, like I always wanted to be invited to the party. I always wanted to go. Loved going to huge parties and talking to interesting people and meeting new people and having fun conversations and drinking all night and things like that. So
I also noticed with SF play people, like you guys love like big expressions, like the more expression the better. Like you really like feed off that, like I noticed that, like I do it to people with like SF play. I'm like, I don't have SF play, right? But I can like fake it. And because I learned op, right? Like my youngest sister's an ENFP and my other sister is an INFJ. So INFJ is an SF play also. And like my youngest sister gets so annoyed at me when I do this, but like I go to my like middle sister and I'll be like, show me the money, and then like she'll like start laughing her ass off, right? Because she has SF play. It is like really expressive. I'm like, oh, it froze. Okay, no, it's good. We're good. Yeah.
You froze in the best position. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That's a really cool example because that made me think of my daughter is so like attuned to what everybody does.
Yeah.
And she loves to do impressions of people. Like it'll just come out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I absolutely die when she does an impression of me. Like
Yeah.
I want to know exactly the stupid shit that I'm doing. I want you to show me because it's hilarious, And so that made me think of it. She just will pop out in these big, like expressive, shows of like, this is what mother does, you know? So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
But
What I
no,
like about SF play is like it's easy to see too and easy to like emulate. So even if you don't have it, like I don't have it, but I can do it. I can fake it. And my youngest sister gets so mad, right? Because she's like, I think she's an ENFP, and she's like, oh, that's not funny. And I'm like, but my other sister's like, she's just crying, like when I do this stuff. And I'm like, I noticed she was like a long time ago, like I would tell her a story, and the part that she would think it's funny is like when I'm doing something like really expressive, and I'm like, I wonder why that is. And then later on, I learned about I learned about SF play. I'm like, oh, that's what it was. It was SF play. No wonder you guys with SF play, you guys feed off that stuff. Um, like
that's so interesting. I didn't know that, but it's definitely true for me.
yeah, it's almost like a switch to I can like if I know I'm talking to someone with SF play, I'm like, let's go try this, see what happens. See if they laugh their ass off.
It's almost like how you'd interact with a baby, like, hey.
Exactly. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah,
what it is. And the baby like reacts to you really quickly, right? Like if you're going,
they love that. Yeah.
yeah, that's SF player right there. Like so. Now there you go. Now you can control it now. um, let's go with especially your double feminine SF play too. So you're gonna be easily movable by that, like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like I can imagine a party you're probably like just laughing your ass off for like hours on end. Like when people are doing dumb shit. Like,
Well, when people do something funny and clever and just like outrageous, I can't think of a happier moment. Like, makes me happy.
yeah, and that's a good thing because like you're always in the present, because you're like SE lead, right? So you're like you can enjoy that moment, which is like fantastic. Um, Now because I was talking about being the present, I want to go to the next part of this, which is your NF blast. Um, your NF blast. So your NF third. So what is your thought on like telling giving people like pep talks or motivational talks and whatnot? Like trying to pump people up. Like how do you?
I think I really like it. I I've been thinking about like, what is my blast? How does that show up?
Yeah.
Um, and it happened today on the Facebook group. I don't know if you're watching the drama.
No, what happened?
Um, well, Shan had Benjamin do a video, like kind of talking about, hey, we're actually in here in the group and you guys are kind of being shitheads.
Yeah.
And I kind of said, look, guys, and I thought all day, like, why don't you just keep your big fat mouth shut? Like, you don't have to say anything. And I'm not usually involved in drama, but I was like, see, I knew they were in here, you guys, like mostly like grow up. Like people have feelings and Dave and Shan are people too. And they were obviously in the group watching. You could tell from some of their last couple months of videos, like you could tell that they were taking things that were happening and then this whole new site change and everything on there, you can tell that they were watching. And well, I think a lot of people have legitimate complaints, no doubt. Like, and I'm not faulting anybody for that.
Right.
It just like hurt when people would just say mean things,
Yeah.
um, like making fun of Shan's eye makeup. I kept seeing that one and I was like, she looks great and you're jealous, is what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Like, so I blasted about it today. And then I kind of put on there, is this an example of my blast? And Jana said, yeah, that's your blast. That's awesome. So I think it's like, it's almost like that masculine and I knew this was going to happen. And here's what you guys need to do differently is kind of how I see it. So
You know what? I don't like just me using my info dominant here. I don't think they are in the Facebook group, but I think they have plans in the Facebook group. I think that's what Dave told me like last time I spoke to him because
yeah.
I actually asked him directly about this. Like, are you guys in the Facebook group? He's like, no, but there's people that like report to us. So there's like they have like I guess you can call them snitches. They have like snitches.
Right. And that's kind of what I meant, like either that or they're in there. But
Yeah.
it was funny because I looked back and I could see where I kept commenting, they're watching, like they are seeing these nasty things you are saying, and it makes me really uncomfortable.
Okay, like they said something once on one of their YouTube videos, something like, if you guys want to hear from us, don't go to the Facebook group, leave a comment in our videos in YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about what they said, and I'm like, I wonder if that's a ploy to get more traffic, because the more comments you have in your YouTube, then the more traffic you get. I wasn't even thinking about the other stuff. I was thinking about, I guess, I don't know. That's why I
Yeah,
was
they were
thinking.
probably trying to say, like, if you're gonna comment, if you have a criticism, let's make it productive instead of like snickering about us behind our backs,
Yeah,
I don't know. It just feels wrong. It looks wrong. They're obviously not going to take the criticism as well if it's just people talking about them on the Facebook page. You know what I mean?
yeah, um, yeah. Maybe it's more like a Shan thing, because like I think they won't probably don't care. I don't think they
Probably.
I don't think he cares what anyone thinks, but
Yeah. Yeah. I think her feelings are hurt. So
yeah, Shan for sure. I mean, she has feminine FI too, which makes it even like more challenging.
yeah.
Um, you know, yeah, I have my own criticism too, but at the end of the day, I thought about it and I was like, you know what, it's none of my business. It's and I can empathize too, because like I have a small YouTube channel. I only have like what 1,000 subscribers. They have like what, like 30K or whatever. So
Yeah.
I can imagine like 30K the abuse that they're experiencing from people. So I can empathize with them. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be another person that just shits on them, right? I can just they're doing their best with whatever resource they have. They don't have it's only two of them. They don't have any additional staff. Maybe because they're being too picky with the hiring process. But
Right. That could be it. Yeah. I kind of feel the same way too. Like we all have our like, well, what was that? Like you could do that better. I mean, we all think we could do everything better, right? We all have better ideas and until we're actually trying to do the thing. And, they did the thing and
yeah,
this was the thing that we all bought into and are all obsessed with.
right.
So they did something right, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think as long as you can, I think some people don't take the time to empathize, which is bad. I think, like, I know you're an IP, but the fact that you're empathizing better than a lot of people is kind of sad. Like, it's when an IP is better than you at empathizing, you really messed up. Uh,
yeah, that
but
probably just comes with age.
yeah, no, that's a good thing though, because not
Yeah.
a lot not a lot of people can develop empathy. I have seen a lot of IPs that develop empathy. There was a guy I interviewed who's an ISTP, and he said that the more he allowed himself to feel bad and accept the pain that he felt, and like the more he let that in, the more he can empathize with people. Because before he was blocking it or something, and then, like when he
Yeah, I've experienced that too. I think that's spot on.
okay,
Mhm.
so maybe you let it in and you accepted it, and now you can empathize with people, something like that.
Yeah, I'm certainly trying to. I certainly don't want to continue to be like robotic emotionally, which
Yeah,
is it serves me well in my career. I mean, I do family law and people are mean and I see a lot of terrible things, like really terrible things. So I can't personalize it. I can't get emotionally involved. And I think that deadened me quite a bit and made me push emotions aside.
yeah,
But that doesn't help my loved ones around who have to spend time with me.
right.
And that doesn't help when I'm such a hard ass. Like I need to be vulnerable and loving and share my heart with them the way they do with me. So yeah, I think the ISTP that you talked to is spot on with that.
Yeah. Oh, that was very NF, by the way. That was good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, it was there. You know what I noticed about you is that you can use your your third and fourth function, but you have to kind of like go through the steps first. You have to use your ST first, you have to use your SF first before you go. Like there is like an order before you can access it. But you can access it, which is good. Like I've seen you in this interview actually like use them. It just takes longer to get to that point.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen Conor McGregor's interview. He did an interview with Tony Robbins. It's on YouTube actually, and Conor McGregor is like double masculine, but he's the same exact animal stack as you. And
Oh, is he?
yeah, he consume, play, blast, sleep, right? ISTP also, and they asked him what his source of success was, and he gave like the most NF answer, which I thought was very interesting. He said that when he was younger, his sister or one of his relative or whatever gave him the book The Secret.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you read that book or watched the show or like
I
the
watched it and then I listened to it because I like to listen to audiobooks.
okay, so yeah, basically he used The Secret. Like he visualized the success that he wanted, he tunnel
Mhm.
visioned it, and then he manifested it. And he really
Yeah.
believed. And it's kind of interesting to hear it from him, like for him to say that, because it's like that's not something like an ISTP would say, right? But I guess if you don't have NF last, as an ISTP, you have it as a, third,
Hmm.
um, or even second. I guess if you're sleep blast, okay, then yeah, you could use that NF, which is good because it worked for him clearly. He's successful, right? Uh,
Yeah. No, I really thought The Secret was, it was weird, but really interesting. I was just like, hey, if that works, you're not hurting anybody by manifesting something.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You could try
It's
it.
almost it I did.
You have a vision board.
No, I would never take the time to do something like that. No, I was like at an airport and our plane was about to be delayed and we were going to miss our connection. And Kendrick, I manifested that airplane stay on time and it did. So,
Yeah,
no,
there
but
you
I
go.
honestly, that is the only time I think that I actually was just like, all right, I am going to implement The Secret right here. I am not getting stuck in this airport.
I've always thought masculine NI scary because I feel like masculine NI can manifest things. I know it's so bullshit, but it works. I can't even imagine it. Like my girlfriend has masculine NI, right? And the she can manifest like the worst things, like to the
Yeah.
people. Like it only happens when she's so when you watch The Secret or read about it, they tell you that you need to be emotionally attached to that manifestation, otherwise it doesn't happen. And I know this is like woo woo land now, but like um, so for like my girlfriend, for example, like she had like two different workplaces where she hated her coworker because they were so annoying. Like they just won't leave her alone, right? Like she doesn't have a huge people problem, but she does when people won't leave her alone, right? So she's like so two times in her two different jobs and the exact same wish for the two different jobs. She's like, I wish that this person would just go away. You know? So on the first job, that person got transferred somewhere else, and the second job,
Oh no.
the person got fired right after she said it. The person got fired, and I'm like, "You made that
Oh God.
happen. You made that."
That's awesome. She's a sorceress. I love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She got people fired from like making a dream.
Don't,
So
you know what? She's teaching you not to mess with her. You do not mess with her.
no, and like if we're going back to NF Woo Woo Land, like I think it's because she's the kind of person that like does a lot of good things in general. Like she's a good person in general. So I feel like when you do good things for the universe, you have like credits, and then you can cash it out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so she cashed it out by getting people fired. I guess it's kind of funny, you know.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but
Did you say she's INTJ?
yeah, she got typed by Dave and Shan. She got phone type first, and then double blind afterwards. And then it was double feminine, jumper, INTJ. So sleep, consume, sleep blast, play blast.
Oh, cool. So she's sleep first and you're sleep last. That's awesome. That's a good compliment.
Yeah, yeah, like that's what Dave told her. He's like, yeah, you're Kendrick's opposite. Like, you know,
See, I feel like my husband and I are too much consume. Like,
yeah, that's what I'm
I
wondering.
really think he's consume first too, and it's too much. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting pairing because you guys don't have any like okay, for you're consume first, you're both self above tribe, you're both EPs, in a sense, you're both chaotic.
Oh
Uh
yeah.
so it's like how did that happen, right? Like what like
Well,
that's
we started dating in high school.
oh, okay, you're like childhood like high school sweethearts, I guess you
Yeah, and we've been married 15 years. So
oh nice. Well, that's an awesome thing. That's good.
yeah, no, it's good. I think we just complement each other really well. Like
Is he like
he's just,
masculine, feminine, or whatnot, or
I think, yeah, I would say he's masculine sensory, and I do not think he is, I think he's feminine extroverted decider as well.
gotcha.
So,
Um, let's go. Let's go with your tester. How do you experience being a tester? Do you like to experiment with different stuff, like try different food or
you
uh,
know, I
experiences?
think I do. Um, I really do. And when I'm like not to jump around from your question, but if I'm in a store and they're like a clothing store, I have to touch everything that interests me. Like I want to feel how that shirt feels or that sweater or that hat or whatever. And I have had friends point out before that I'm always like, I'll get food and I'll just like smell it and kind of take it in first. And they're like, why do you smell your food first? I don't know. Don't you? Don't you smell your food before you eat it?
Yeah.
But I love to cook. And I like to have like a plan like for the week of what I'm gonna make. And then I like to have a recipe, but I do like my own stuff with it. So I'll try different things in the recipe. Like I feel like I have a good instinct for what should actually be in there as compared to what they tell me to do. So it's
So
more of a template.
you're like a rebel there. You're like breaking the step by step step by step recipe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, my sister does that. She breaks the recipe and it doesn't taste good because it tastes it's completely out of whack. I mean, it doesn't help her. It doesn't help that she's sensory last, right? She's an INFJ, so
Oh,
you're sensory first. I think you have a better instinct with that kind of stuff. And
I think I do. So you think she screws it up? That's funny.
yeah, because she's SE last, right? So she's like she has no clue how the physical world works, right? And
Yeah.
like when she goes to the gym with my other coach with our coach before she had no clue what she was doing. She couldn't move properly. It's just like that, it's just like problems,
That's funny.
low SE and it's like feminine. But I don't know if that really makes sense. So my girlfriend is also feminine SE and she's also Fort and her form in the gym is impeccable. So
Yeah, but did she like, is that a skill that she worked on and built to get impeccable form?
well, when I first met her, she's never worked out in the gym, and then I showed her like how to work out, and she picked up the form pretty quickly. Like the first time I showed her, she already got the perfect form. You
That's
know,
awesome.
it could be a masculine FI. Like you know exactly how you feel and you have good control.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
that's a good thought.
Yeah, to
I
figure.
just think there's so many little anecdotes that we keep, you hear or they'll say on the videos,
Yeah,
and like that might work out 90% of the time, but like somebody else is going to use that differently or, be better at something else. So that's why they're so like the anecdotes are so fatal sometimes, like make you feel crazy and like you're 5 different types and.
yeah. I know it's always been fascinating to me. Like I've had clients before who were like EJs, who just can't do the form properly. But then I have EJ clients who I feel like are feelers. They have really good form. So I don't know if it's like an emotional thing or like I don't know. It's really or like it's either like a high sensory thing or like a high emotional thing, and those people tend to have good bodily control. I don't know, but maybe it's a personal thing. It's just person by person. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
to
I
say.
wonder, I wonder too if it's like, does that person accept the things you are telling them to fix their form? Like, are they consciously and unconsciously accepting that? Because if you're telling me to do something and I'm like, he doesn't know what he's talking about,
Yeah.
like I'll do whatever I think is better, which is like if a doctor told me, oh, you need to do this for your diet, I'd be like, you don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you get somebody who like thinks they're smarter than everybody else and maybe they're not quite adjusting their form to the way that you tell them to.
I don't know. I don't think so. I feel like they're listening to me, but
Yeah.
I just don't think they have body awareness. Like they don't know how their body moves. You know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had like several clients where like I'm like, what are you doing? That's not even how I showed you. And like I'm like getting annoyed. Like you're doing a plank and your butt is sticking up, and like I'm like, oh my god, like.
It's so funny, like watching people do push-ups who don't really know how to do push-ups.
Yeah, and then like I used to work in this commercial gym, and then I used to work with this big black guy, and then he had like a client who was like super weak for some reason, and he like the black guy would go to me in like in our staff room, right, and he'll be like, man, I just don't understand why some humans are so weak. That's what he would say to me, right? Like, and it's true though. Like sometimes I would be training my client. Like I had this client before. She was Indian, and then but she was Canadian Indian. Like she was born here, and then like we would be like, I don't know, it's kind of judgmental, but she would be watching like this like other Indian guy work out with another trainer, and he's only doing like like a chest press with like 10 pounds, and he's already screaming. He's like, ah, ah, and then she'll like look at that guy, and then look at me, and I'm like, don't judge. He's like, yeah, I'm not judging, but yeah, that's kind of pathetic. Like that's what she'll say, right?
That's funny.
And I'm like,
It's true though. You see people like struggle, just struggle to do something. You're like, well, that wasn't hard.
no, but it's like, okay, it's a chest press. You're a dude. It's 10 pounds you're holding. You're screaming at the top of your lungs to push that. My girlfriend can chest press 35 pounds. She's a tiny Asian girl, and she's like, like on each side, and
Yeah.
not like, wow. It's just like, okay, like.
And
So
they gotta yell. They gotta yell while they do it.
yeah, they're screaming at the top of the lungs. There's like a fountain going on in their mouth. Like, I hate that. That's the worst one. I hate that fountain when they're like doing the chest. I noticed that with like people who are like SF lead and they go to the gym, they when they work out and they do like a chest workout, they have like especially with the masculine ones, they have like a fountain that comes out of their mouth. Like,
Really?
yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. It's
That's
usually,
horrifying.
I know it's horrifying. There's like a fountain, and I asked my coworker about it. I was like, how do you spot people like that? They're like, yeah, you gotta like step back, wait for the fountain.
Oh my God.
Gotta. It's sick. It's disgusting for sure.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to talk to you about this because you go to the gym, so you understand all this like.
Oh yeah, it's funny because I'll do something like I'll have a gym and I'll love it and I'll like be obsessed and I'll go for like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, need something different or I'm gonna die. Like I have to do something different.
Yeah, I noticed that with you guys. So let's talk about that. So this is SE, very SE, right? So I interviewed this ESFP guy. He's double masculine, and he said, I asked him, I'm like, so this is what I noticed about SE and SI. People with SI, they like to do the exact same exercise all the time. They don't want any new exercise. They want the same one and they want to master the same one. I'm one of those people. Someone shows me a new exercise. Nope, don't care. Don't care. No, I don't want to do
I get really excited. I get really excited to try something new.
Yeah.
We just got our Peloton delivered, so
that's awesome. I want a Peloton.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't have the right shoes yet, so my first ride was iffy.
Oh, you're going all in with the shoes and everything.
The pedals are like, they're tiny clip-in pedals, so you feel very awkward with regular shoes on. But
yeah, I teach spin, but I'm like it seems okay with regular shoes, but I can probably imagine.
Spin's okay. Yeah, because spin will have like the pedal will be long enough and then the strap. Yeah, I used to do spin. It was fun.
Yeah, spin I love spin.
Yeah, it's a hard workout and you get to sit while you're working out and you can't beat that.
You sit down while you're working out.
You get to sit down, but you're still getting a workout. So
I
call that a win.
So you're an IP. Are you super competitive? Like, is
it? Yes, I am super competitive, and sometimes that will even deter me from doing something because I'm like, I don't know if I want to get into the competitive mindset right now. Like, it just depends. But
a switch, like you can't turn it off. Like the moment something happens, it has to be a competition.
It depends. Like, my mom loves to tell me that I was a sore loser when I was a kid. She thinks that's hilarious. But like, I didn't even want to lose at a game that I was playing with my family. And then I was upset if I didn't win.
Did you win a lot?
And it's hard. Oh yeah. I don't remember, but I do love like trivia games and things like that. I feel like I excel at that kind of stuff. Like just and this is where I'm kind of like, if I'm playing like Trivial Pursuit and I remember this random stuff that I learned in high school and college, isn't that good memory? Like, or I guess it's, everything's a spectrum. So between my intuition and my sensory, like one of them has to be masculine compared to the other, right? But that doesn't mean that my feminine sensory is as feminine as somebody else's feminine sensory, I guess.
Maybe it's your visual memory is very strong,
Yeah.
Are you remembering it as pictures when you see those trivia stuff? Like you've seen that image before somewhere?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think so.
Yeah, I interviewed someone that I think was like the most bullshit power I've ever heard. Where this person, I forgot who it was that I interviewed, but they had they were also like double feminine or feminine masculine. So they can literally take a textbook and like screenshot what was on the textbook, and then when they go to the test, they just like look back to what they screenshotted. I'm like, what is that bullshit power? Like it's almost like cheating.
Yeah.
Does that happen to you, like you when you're studying, when you were like, back in college or whatever, university? And
yeah, I could kind of remember where something was like on a page or a study guide and that helped me. I could picture it.
Okay. Yeah. That's one of the BS powers, in my opinion.
I don't know that I could call it a screenshot. Like, I don't know that it would be
Yeah.
that good, but I think I do have that skill.
Oh, so in my spin class, you would definitely be good competitive. We have a big screen, and there's like it tells you people's RPMs,
Oh
and
yeah.
so when someone's going down, you can see which bike it is, and like
Yeah, I've done workout places like that, and
yeah,
it really makes you work out hard. The problem is I don't need that extra push. Like, which is almost why I've like accumulated this amazing home gym that we've been just like kind of building on.
yeah,
And I love going to the gym and like seeing people and making friends and meeting people. But in order to do that low heart rate thing that I was doing,
yeah.
I had to separate myself from everybody else. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do it because I wouldn't be able to just not be competitive with everybody.
Yeah, I think the stuff. I think you're on the right path. I feel like like from what I know in fitness, you should not be doing hit more than once a week. Really,
Right.
like
Yeah.
high intensity stuff, because then if you do it too much, your cortisol level spikes up. You actually start gaining weight.
Yeah. I definitely get fluffier when I'm like working out too hard and it's so counterproductive. But
Yeah,
I get addicted to that feeling of like a hard workout.
the rush.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, but you can still do it once a week. Is good, right? You
Yeah.
should.
I think once or twice a week is probably plenty. Yeah.
Yeah, like that Mark Sison guy said, right? Like you should be doing hit once, like sprints once a week or something. That's what he
Yeah.
said.
He loves to talk about sprints.
Yeah, the sprint. I can't sprint because it makes me itchy, but
It
like
makes you itchy.
yeah, it's like a weird thing. I was talking to Dave about it. Like, so Dave, I don't know if you know it, but Dave is like allergic to carbs or something, like
The carbs.
carbs, like wheat and stuff. Like the moment
Okay.
he's not gluten intolerant, but like he said something like something happens to him when he eats too much carbs, so he has to like go like almost no carbs. He can cheat once in a while, but
Uh-huh. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I do. That's one of my other little TI projects in my head was I read about low carb for years
yeah,
and then finally started to be like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I went completely keto for like 6 months
yeah.
and it changed like the way I approach food and the way I eat and the way I like plan my meals and stuff. And I don't worry about it. And like, I'm not counting carbs, but I mostly eat low carb most of the time.
Do you get enough fiber when you go on keto?
Yeah, I eat lots of veggies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so the last few things I want to cover with you is your intuition, actually, because I think it's very interesting. You have masculine NI, and you don't want to skip steps. Even earlier during the interview, you said that I like to hang out with my friends, but I don't want to plan anything. Like you don't want to use your NI. Like you just don't want to plan. So
Yeah.
um, that's very interesting to me. Like, so when does that NI kick in then? Like it's like you're technically NT last, and you have NI. Like it's like your NI is gonna. It seems like it's gonna be your weakest point then. Like it's almost like
Mhm.
you're like because it seems like you're FE because it's double activated, and I think you have the attitude that like in general when it comes to objective personality or in general, I think it comes down to attitude. Like do you want to work on your fourth function or your fourth animal? It really comes down to that. It's like your attitude towards it, right? So it seems to me that you
Yeah.
have the right attitude. Like you do want to get better at your fourth function, your FE and your animal. Um, but so because you have the attitude, it seems like your FE is not like your biggest life problem. Like it seems like tribe hate is not like you're still freaked out about it. Like it's never gonna go away. It's like
Yeah.
a beautiful mind. Like like there's people still walking beside you the whole time. Like it's
Yeah.
always there. But you kind of like know it's like fake, even though you can see it, and it still like makes your heart palpitate. But it seems like the area that you're really struggling with is the NI. So talk about
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah. You might be right. And I was thinking about that because, just little non-consequential things that come up in my life. And it even like one of my partners at work who was my mentor. So I kind of think of him as a boss, even though like we're partners. He'll come in my office and he'll just start talking about something. And first of all, I need you to like give me context before you start talking about something. So that's a huge problem for me. I get all flustered. Like, what are you saying? Start over, back up. He'll want me to guess, like, what a judge is going to do in a hearing. And I'm like, I don't know. He goes, that's not an answer, you know? And so what I've been trying to do is just fucking guess. Like, you wanted me to guess? There it is, you know? And I don't think he's making fun of me if it's a stupid guess, but I think I'm getting made fun of. You
Yeah.
know, if he's like, no, but he doesn't see it that way. He's like, no, I just want we need to talk this out. He's definitely T. We need to talk this out. I want you to guess and we'll talk about it, whatever. So I have been trying to be more comfortable with guessing in
Yeah.
different areas. Um, Another spot would be, oh, my daughter peppers me with questions about everything.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would get really mad at her, like beside myself. Like, how dare you make me guess something?
Yeah.
So I've been trying to say, well, I think if I had to guess, you know, this is what I would think. And just trying to be kind when I have to do something
Yeah.
that's very uncomfortable for me. And then like something in my, you know, my own little world where I'm trying to be more comfortable with not knowing, and this is so stupid, is like just when I have like shows that I only watch on the treadmill. So like when I'm running or walking, I get to watch a certain show. Like that's kind of a little treat. But I'll start something and immediately be bored if I don't know what's going on. And I've been trying to just stick with things a little better and seeing if I can make some good guesses and stick with them to follow the show or the movie through and kind of see. But
Oh my god, I find that so interesting with you guys. Like, it's not just you, but every like anyone with like ST lead, like you just don't want to guess, like or like you can't don't want to connect the dots, or don't want to like I spoke to a guy before. He's a friend of mine that it's one of my first few interviews, and you know, I showed him like I had a business plan that I was working on, so I showed it to him, and like, you know, I told him to critique it. But the problem was like he would critique it line by line, right? But I'm like, why don't you read the whole thing first before you critique it? Because the stuff that the stuff that you have questions for has already been answered in the bottom, and you can kind of
yeah,
see if you do use your end, you can kind of see it coming.
yeah,
But he didn't want to use his end, right? So I'm like, okay, now I know how to talk to these guys at least, like these ST guys. You know, like they don't want to guess, so I have to make sure that everything has to be perfectly clear. I have to connect the dots for them too, because they don't want to connect the dots, right? You know, I'm like, okay,
what's funny about that though, do you think that person is SI savory? Because that almost sounds like,
no, he's an ENTJ.
oh, you said ENTJ. Okay. Oh,
ENTJ
interesting.
jumper
Okay.
jumper.
Because I'm just like, there's a couple people in my office who I'm like, you can't see the whole forest because you're so focused on each tree.
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe people see me that way and I just didn't know it.
Yeah,
Um,
possibly. Because like a lot of stuff that you're describing to me, like earlier, you know, you said that you're watching your movie with your husband, and you're like, what was that? What was that? And he's like, can you just like, can you just guess? You know, because like like for me, what's annoying is when I watch a movie, I'm like, I can tell you, I probably know what's gonna happen. I just because
yeah,
I have NE, right? Like I know the patterns, you know, like I know how like they structure movies, and like what is the
yeah,
arc and what's gonna happen next, and this is like the climax, whatever. Like it's so annoying, you know. Like every time I watch shows, I can usually predict what's gonna happen, but when I get thrown off, I love it because I'm like, oh, that's good, that was good. They completely saw how someone would like use their intuition to weave through the future, but then they threw this like thing at me to like distract me, but then they actually went this direction, and I love that. Like I love it
yeah.
when I get tripped
Well,
up.
and I like a good surprise too. I even said before I got my type, I was like, I hope it's something completely different that I haven't even thought about. Like, because I surprises are fun, but I don't know. I'm so worried I'm gonna miss something along the way. Like
You're
I don't
so
want to
info
miss any.
dominant.
I don't want to miss anything.
You're so info dominant, and like but I think it's easier to surprise you though, because you know you're looking at like the present stuff, so you don't have
Yeah,
to go that far to trick you. For someone to trick me, they have to like really go to the intuition, deep into intuition, and really throw me off. You know,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. But that's so fun.
yeah. All right. Last two questions, and we'll wrap up the interview. Okay. First one
Okay.
is, what advice can you give to fellow IPs? Let's say IPs. There's not many ISTPs, so there's only two of you guys. Um,
Yeah.
okay. You know, okay. ISTPs including the males. Okay, including the dudes. Then, um, what advice can you give them to better work on their extrovert feeling? And would you say that as a woman that working on your emotion has actually been easier because you're actually encouraged to do it? I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's much more accepted. But people are, I've had people in my life always point out I'm not emoting the way I should be or reacting to something the way they think I should be. And that's hurtful. So I have learned that just showing someone a little bit of the emotion that they expect you to show goes such a long way. It takes hardly any effort. Like with my clients, they're going through the worst time in their life. And what's funny is, how Dave and Shan say, like, we're all running programs, and you and I kind of talked about it on our messenger, but
Right.
all my clients are running programs in their divorce cases too. But I think the main thing is that to do a little bit of mirroring people's emotions. So somebody shows me they are sad, me sitting there like a robot is not going to help them. Me, showing them some emotion,
Yeah.
repeating back what they said and said, gosh, that sounds awful. You're really going through a lot. Like just repeating someone's troubles and their struggles goes a long way. I mean, you just up your emotional game, 100 points when you do that.
You know what I like? What I like about your advice is it's very concrete. Like other ISTPs can easily copy it. Number one, repeat what they said. Number two, it's like just mirror their feelings in your face.
Yeah.
Have the right tone. You know. The problem with FI people is that they're really social, like emotionally inappropriate. Like my sister is a nurse, and she had to tell someone's terminally ill, and like they're probably not going to make it. She told the family that, and when she told the family, she was smiling, and I'm like, "Are you like are you kidding?" I know it's funny, but it's kind of
It
bad.
is funny. That would be so hard, like, because you would either have like a inappropriate laugh, or you also don't want to start crying when you're telling someone, because it's like, how dare you cry over my bad news? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
So I
it's
think
like okay, imagine my sister's like, "Oh, your dad's gonna die," like, like how do you, with a big
yeah, that's rough.
like that. Like, do you get upset that this person looks like a sociopath? Like, he's smiling at you, like,
I'd probably be like, why are you smiling?
yeah. Like, are you happy he's gonna die or something? Like
Does that make you happy? Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah.
freak.
Okay. And then just to wrap it up, do you have any questions for me before we wrap up this interview?
My only question was, how could I spot any savior like you have? Because that's the one that I feel like I can't find it.
NE savior. Oh my god. The problem with like having something that's your lead function, it's hard to explain because you just
That's true.
I do it automatically. So I have to look at like how do you spot NE savior? Because it's not easy to spot actually. Because
Because I
sometimes
feel like SC savior is pretty easy to spot. Like that's one that I'm able to kind of point out. So I suppose if it's a lot of channel changing, but I'm like, but it's not sensory. They're leaving me hanging on the facts. Would that be a good check for that?
I think the best way to explain it is that when you're dealing with N, it's concepts. Um, and usually people with NI, they like to do the same topic. Like they like to focus on the same topics. Like for you, it's fitness, right? It's
That's funny. Yeah.
yeah, it's fitness, and then for your work, it's family law, right? You don't have three jobs, like a lot of NE people have multiple jobs, right? A lot of NE people they'll be like a musician, and then they work in an office also, and then on the side they also like bake, and then like later on they're like studying rocket science. It's like they do such a diverse, like the moment you meet someone that has like such a diverse interest in completely different stuff, then already that's an NE thing because it's like wide variety of interests. Like if you look at Elon Musk, he has a rocket, he has like a SpaceX, he has the car Tesla, and then he has like the boring company, he has a flamethrower. He used to be in finance too with PayPal. So it's like really like diverse. like Jeff Bezos, he has Amazon. He just stepped down recently, but he has the Washington Post, and he has a rocket. Like, what does a rocket, like a spaceship, have to do with freaking Amazon, right? Like, that's completely different, right? So
That's true.
people with NE, they like to do like such, like for me. Okay, look at me. My day job is in the fitness industry. I've been doing that for the last 7, almost 8 years now. Um, which is good for me because NE people don't stick to the same thing long enough. And then I have ENFP male, which is personality. Like, what does fitness have to do with personality, right? And then
Right.
and then on top of that, I have another YouTube channel and a blog, on travel, right?
Oh,
So
that's cool.
yeah, like I always brag about this, but I've been to 89 countries, right? Like that's
Yeah, that's so cool.
yeah. So they're like, I have such diverse interests. There's fitness, there's travel, and there's personality. They're all completely different. And and then also when you talk to someone with NE, they like to channel change, like, to different areas of interest. It's not like your channel changing it's different but kind of related. Um, with NE, it's like completely, you're like, what does this have to do with what we're talking about right now? It's like, like, it's like, let's say you're talking about fashion, and the next minute suddenly this person's talking about you know, um olive oil or something. Like, it's just like what? Like, how did we get to this top subject here? Like, how do we get on this tangent all of a sudden? So, like, that's like the best way to describe NE. It's like they suddenly jump. Like, there's a YouTuber. His name's Johnny Harris. He used to work for Vox. He used to be a reporter for Vox. I think you should watch his YouTube channel. It's really good. So he does this weird tangent stuff. He'll And then the cool thing about NE is there's actually a connection between those far distant tangents. So he'll go to this one tangent, right? Um, and then he'll talk about another completely random tangent and another completely random tangent, and somehow they're all connected together. You're like, oh my god, there's no way I would have figured that out. Like, you know.
So do you then, when you're hearing another NE person talk, are you able to make their connections, or are you guys all in the dark on the connections too?
Um, here's the deal. Like, if I'm watching his video and he's going this weird tangent, I know that the connection is gonna come up at some point. So I'm not like if I was sensory, I would be like completely confused and be like, what the fuck is this person talking about? Like just completely confused in the dark, especially if you're info dominant, like red belts all over the place. They're like, what? But for me, I'm like, no, I know it's coming. Just wait for it. It's like, I know he has a point he's gonna make. Just wait for it.
So you're a lot more patient than I.
Well, I know it's gonna come. I'm not like I know there's gonna be a really cool surprise. Like the best one that he did was on something about Saudi Arabia. He talked about Saudi Arabia, and somehow Saudi Arabia was linked to 9/11 and Bin Laden, and like it was so cool how he tied it all together. I'm like, wow, this is NE at its best. Like this is like genius NE level. So that's kind of how NE works. So, but for me, because I'm NE lead, I would be patient to hear the whole story, because I know that they're gonna tie it up. I know this person with NE, he's gonna tie everything together. There's, and it's not gonna be like watching your movie with your husband and like, what was that? Because your husband's like, just wait. Okay, your answer.
See, I love when you do impressions of me.
What's that?
I love when you do an impression of me doing an impression of myself.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Tara. Thanks for doing that interview today, and thanks for coming up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I know I really appreciate you doing it, especially because you're an IP. It's gonna be a little bit scary. I think it's really good too because there's not enough representation from ISTP women. So I think this is a really good one, especially. And I think a lot of ISTP dudes can really learn a lot from this. It's coming from like a female perspective too, and how to use emotions better. A lot of them are like just robots, right? They're like, what is emotion? So it's really good because then it'll humanize them more instead of just being like a machine. So again, thanks for doing that interview. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
I will. All right. So bye everyone, and bye to Tara.
See ya.